Good evening, you're watching Estuary News. Coming up, we look at a graduate scheme which is benefiting businesses in North East Lincolnshire, and we explore the options of a new stadium site for Grimsby Town Football Club. And my guest tonight is Leah Nietzsche, station manager and general grand fromage of Estuary TV, here to talk about the channel as it approaches its second birthday. Welcome to Estuary News, I'm Hugh Richards. Now it's time for the news headlines.
Hull's Carers Information and Support Service tell us they are working to make carers aware of what their rights are, from employment to accessing support. CISS in the city centre runs a number of group sessions where people can share their experiences while getting the information they need. They say they are a friendly service that is always on hand and are hoping to encourage more people through their doors.
Other maybe health professionals, social care professionals, they do have a huge workload themselves, and obviously they will make carers aware of what's available when they can, but having a dedicated support service that's also separate from the person they're caring for ensures that we can just focus purely on the carer, what they would like to achieve, and just give them that time to think about themselves really and what they might want.
As a carer myself, I know how isolating it can be. So to have somebody there, or to come along to a group where there are other carers, the people that care for may have different disabilities or illnesses, but they're still facing similar problems.
Humberside Police is backing a national initiative as part of Counter-Terrorism Awareness Week. The current UK threat level is severe, with a risk of lone attackers and coordinated plots. Stay alert but not alarmed. That's the message from the policing network, and they are urging people to get in touch if they have any suspicions, and are advising people to ensure they know where to get information from the police in a crisis. Elsewhere, a commemorative plaque has been rededicated to pay tribute to a pioneering teacher from Hull. Margaret Moxon travelled as a missionary to Sierra Leone and New Zealand, where she paved the way for girls' education during the 1800s.
She married a missionary, and she became a missionary herself, and she went to Sierra Leone. They came back to this area and then later went to New Zealand, and she's both known as a teacher of indigenous people and a missionary, and of course she's getting a plaque unveiled. She's just one of a whole number of people from across this town and area who've made a global impact in one way or another.
Hull City Council has launched a new learning project focusing on the city's culture and heritage for primary schools in the run-up to UK City of Culture 2017. Over 40 primary schools have taken part. And that's all from the news.
North East Lincolnshire Council is assisting businesses in providing paid internships for graduates to help young people get a step on the career ladder. It's a bid to keep talent in the region so that people aren't tempted to move further afield to land their dream job. Erica Barker went to find out what the graduate programme involves.
When it comes to deciding on what path to take after school, university seems to be in the sights of many. But to land that first job, some graduates, after studying in our region, are deciding to move out of town. North East Lincolnshire Council is working to tackle this by funding the Graduate Advancement Programme, offering businesses a £1,500 contribution towards the wage costs of employing a graduate on a 3-month internship.
Too often we've lost, our local people to places like Manchester, Leeds and London when they get their degrees, and this is an attempt to support them to stay in the area, and also it provides businesses with an opportunity to bring in new blood, new thinking, entrepreneurial thought that they wouldn't hitherto have.
One of the businesses to get on board with the scheme is IT company LCS in Grimsby. I asked two of the graduates who've gained employment through the programme what young people can bring to the table.
Fresh out the box, I think, we're like a blank canvas, so if a company takes somebody on like us, then I guess in a way they can kind of form them into what they want them to be. But I think a lot of graduates as well now can kind of have their own ideas as well to bring to companies.
So creativity, knowledge, aspiration, ambition, all of that.
And the director of the LCS group is a big supporter.
I think it's a really good idea. I think in the small to medium-sized business sector, the sector that we serve mainly, a lot of business owners are really kind of busy on dealing with their own day-to-day business issues and don't really have time maybe to think outside of the box and how some of these young people can really help them in their growth efforts. I think that the graduate programme in Grimsby, the GAP programme, because it was publicised and we were directly contacted and kind of prompted, it kind of made us look at it and think again about this as an option. So I think that really these programmes need to be pushed further and harder into businesses to kind of get their attention, and the results of doing it can be amazing.
Since its launch last year, 13 internships have been created in the local area, with 8 in every 10 graduates being kept on, gaining a full-time position, stimulating the economy while encouraging diversity in business. Erica Barker, Estuary TV.
Still to come tonight, we find out your opinions on the 6 proposed sites for the Mariners' new stadium, and we have all the local news in the sports. 2 years ago this Thursday, all eyes were focused on Grimsby and the launch of the new local television station on Freeview 8. Estuary TV was the first to be switched on after support from the community and local MPs. To tell us whether it's working and how well the channel's doing, Leah Nietzsche, executive producer here at Estuary. Leah, thanks very much for coming all this way.
Hello, yes, it was a long way.
How is the channel doing? Is it succeeding?
It's doing really, really well at the moment. From our 0 standing start at the 26th of November 2013, we now have approximately 154,000 homes watching every week. That's about 400,000 viewers. And we are building our programming, building our advertising and sponsorship, and it's going well.
Excellent. 400,000 people.
A week, I know.
That's
no pressure, Hugh.
A bit frightening, isn't it? Where are we selling the advertising? Because our only source of revenue is advertising, selling the advertising time. Our job is to shepherd an audience to the advertisers, as it were, for it to be a commercial operation. Who's buying our time?
Well, just on one point, commercial isn't our only source of funding. We've got lots of different sources of funding. So obviously one of them is selling our news to the BBC, which we do on a daily, weekly basis. And also we're a community interest company, so we do some grant-funded projects, we do training, a whole range of different things. And then there is commercial as well. Commercial is building. Because we've come from a community interest company background, commercial wasn't our specialist area, and we've learnt over the last 2 years, and now we've got people coming to us for advertising, sponsorship, advertiser-funded programming. There's a whole range of things that people can get involved in, and you know, local television is a whole new offering to the local business market, and that's something that people have had to learn about, and now they're developing an understanding.
But it's not unprecedented. Local television is unprecedented, but local media and advertising, there have been local newspapers for hundreds of years, local radio, and they're great success. They're fantastic pieces of British culture, really. So television's just taking a little while to get off the ground, is it?
It is, and that's because obviously, you know, when you advertise in print press, you advertise for 1 or 2 times in the same way. There are a few words and perhaps a phone number or a website. Radio is a little bit nearer to TV, but with television there is so much opportunity, and quite often people who have investigated TV before, whether that be regional or national, have looked at the prices and said there is no way we can get involved, it's too much money. But the great thing about local TV is we've positioned ourselves so that if you're a micro business all the way up to a multinational, you can afford to get out to the kind of audiences you want.
Basically, we're cheap.
No, we're just trying to be good value for money.
Okay.
I mean, we have pitched ourselves lower than other local media at the moment, because we want to make sure that people have got the confidence to come to us. And the results and testimonials that we're getting from advertisers and sponsors is fantastic. That tells us that we need to raise our prices, which we're doing now. So, you know, it's all there for the taking. It's just people have got much more ability to be creative with television. And so that's the fun bit of getting involved in TV.
You mentioned other sources of income, apart from the commercial. Where does that money come from?
We have some commercial training money that comes in, some that might be perhaps lottery funded, grant funding, or EU, a whole range of different things. You know, as I said before, our basis is a community interest company. So key to what we want to do is working with communities, individuals, to use TV as a way to build confidence, to get people back into the employment market, and we're doing quite a few things like that at the moment.
2 years ago, on the, what was it, the 26th of November 2013, I remember there was a big event here. We had a big opening night. Patricia Hodge came along and made a speech. I remember interviewing her. Had to get the light just right. How were you feeling that evening 2 years ago?
I can't quite believe it's 2 years ago, in all honesty. It was a bit of a shock, to be honest, because we just sort of, used it as an ordinary production day, and little did we know that the whole country's press, radio, national newspapers, national TV would descend upon us.
Some people were quite snooty, weren't they? The Guardian, I remember, covered us in a very snooty manner.
Yeah. But, the national print press will get a bit snooty because, we're a new kid on the media block, and potentially we're competition for them, and we are. And
they're quite rightly frightened of us, I suppose.
Yeah, what we've got to remember is that obviously the way that media industry is set up in our country, in many countries in the Western world, is that they're in a very strong position and they want to protect that.
Leah, we'll come back and talk about this a little bit more after the break. Join me then when we find out your views on the proposed new sites for Grimsby Town Stadium. Where will it go? And we'll bring you all the latest local sports news. Welcome back, you're watching Estuary News. Still to come, we find out your views on the new sites proposed for Grimsby Town Football Club, and we have the latest local sports news. Still with me in the studio, Leah Nietzsche, executive producer here at Estuary. Talked about the advertisers bit there, Leah. Who's the audience? What sort of demographic are we getting?
We're starting to get through data that tells us quite a bit of information. So we've got, our demographic is slightly biased towards males at the moment. We do get a range of the full sort of age group from 16 plus, but the majority of our viewers are 35 plus. And we've got generally Bs, C1s and C2s. So that's your managerial, skilled and skilled manual workers.
The intellectual elite.
Well, let's say that there aren't many A's in there, but that it does actually correlate with Freeview and Freeview channels. So
the point is that everybody watching us has got enough disposable income to buy whatever anybody's advertising on Estuary TV.
They have, and if people call us and talk to people who've advertised, they'll find that there's some phenomenal results that people are getting from local TV. And, not wanting to make this an advert for Estuary TV at all, of course.
Why not? It's our programme.
Yeah, that's right.
We've got some big name advertisers as well. It's not just local businesses, very welcome as they are, but some of the big national ads are on our channel as well.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, we've got Unilever, Procter & Gamble. So, all of the adverts that you would expect to see on national channels, they're buying local TV advertising as well. So, when the national advertisers are paying for advertising, that they've done the sums and they know that it's worth their money and their while advertising on the channel. What's
the future for Estuary? What's coming up?
We constantly develop new programmes, as you know. So we're looking at new ways of doing things. We've got some exciting new series coming in the new year. So we're looking at potentially motoring programming, property programming, more sport, a whole range of different things.
Righto, okay. One of the criticisms that I hear around town and around the Humber is that we have too many repeats.
We have a fair amount of repeats, a lot less than we used to. But if you look at national televisions, with the amount of multi-channel choice there is now, I defy anybody to say that they haven't seen the same version of QI several times in a week.
Yeah.
So, I think, yes, there are repeats, but, television is a very hungry beast that needs filling, morning, noon and night. And what I would say to those people who are talking about repeats is that's great because it shows that you're watching a lot and you're wanting to watch more, and stick with us because the more that we make, the more that will go on the channel.
We have quite a large amount of our programming is self-generated. We make it ourselves. It's not bought in from other sources. How are we doing compared to the other local television stations in terms of our actual production output?
It's difficult to compare because when local television was set up, everybody wrote their own broadcast commitments. So our licence with Ofcom commits us to certain amounts of programming. Our licence guarantees that we will always have no less than 2/3 locally made or locally relevant. Now, we don't make all of our local programmes. We actually do commission and buy-in from other local producers as well. So our channel will always have a minimum of 2/3 of local content on it.
Leah, thank you very much. Everybody knows how to contact Estuary TV if you'd like to advertise. Leah, see you in a year's time.
See you soon.
For years it's been talked about, but it's never happened. Grimsby Town Football Club have been planning to move out of Blundell Park in Cleethorpes for years. A few years ago, permission was given to develop a new stadium at Greatcoats, but finances changed and it was scrapped. Now they're wanting to move. This time they have their eyes on land near Peaks Parkway. A consultation has come up with 6 sites on land at Laceby, near Morrison's Supermarket, Euro Park, near the A180, Greatcoats, Freeman Street, Peaks Parkway and Dockside in the centre of town.
Good idea. I think the one where near the crematorium is best. That's my opinion.
Okay, why do you think that?
Because it's more space, it's handy to get out of town and everything.
I'm a bit confused about Peaks Parkway because is it down the main road?
I think it's off the main road, yeah.
Which will cause a lot of hassle really, won't it? I mean, that's supposed to be a road that goes straight through to save a lot of hassle in the middle of the town. So if they build it there, that's defeating the object, really.
I think Greatcoats will be better for the town. It's a much nice, more rural area, and I think you'd be in a comfort zone. Definitely in a comfort zone. I don't like going down Grimsby Road town.
I think any regeneration for the town's fabulous, and I think a lot of people love the sport, so yeah, good stadium's great. I think where it is, you mean the football stadium? I think where it is out now, because my grandson goes to Grimsby Town, I think it's a bit out of the way, terrible for parking.
You could put it in any of the places, but it's got to be in a convenient place.
There's a great deal of space on the docks, and it's reasonably central. So you've got to utilise that space, or you let it go to rack and ruin.
I think Peaks Parkway is probably the best one.
Okay, why do you think that? Is there any concerns about traffic?
Well, I think you got your traffic where it's probably pretty central, isn't it? It's pretty central, and I think that's probably. I think that, mind you, I think any other one they're going to refuse anyway. I think they've got the set. I think the mindset is on Peaks Parkway.
Joining me as usual for the daily look at the news, Erica Barker. Erica, what have you found?
Hello, Hugh. I'm going to start off then a story in the Hull Daily Mail. This is Hull City Council has spent £1.4 million on hiring agency staff since the start of this year. They're looking to cut that down. The authority is looking to drastically reduce it says in here, the amount that it does spend on temporary staff through covering sickness or providing specialist skills that workers there may not have. It says the amount spent on agency staff is up from £1 million from that of the same period last year.
What, people just being sick more often or needing... How specialist can he be driving a bus?
Well, it doesn't particularly give the facts and the figures in here. It is a general overview of those figures with the fact that they do need to reduce it. Obviously, you know, it's interesting to think about when it comes to those specialist skills, what areas they may be in, how that may impact the community of Hull. So that's probably something to keep an eye on.
Very well. Still a splendid public transport service, though, in Hull.
Do you get it often?
So occasionally, of course I do. What next?
Okay, this is a serious one then. So this is within the Grimsby Telegraph. Security contractors at the Beach Coma in Humberston have been suspended. This is as investigations continue into allegations that the drummer in the Britpop band Cast was injured in a late night incident. This happened on Saturday night. He posted pictures on social media. Quite horrific pictures really of his injuries, and he claimed that some of the security staff were involved in that incident. So
it's a bit much if the bouncers are beating up the talent, isn't it?
Well, it's I mean, it's a very popular venue, isn't it? And we're not saying anything about the venue.
No, the Beach Coma was great.
But as far as that story goes, that's been moved on to
time for another one.
To that, them being suspended. Okay, so Hull Daily Mail. Do you know that 66,000 people in Hull suffer from stress?
I did not know.
No. So quite scary figures there. The running courses to try and help tackle this, combat this, is saying that there isn't enough awareness around. More needs to be done to talk about it. People don't feel comfortable talking about it. And it's a lot, it's a massive, well, it's a bigger thing than people are maybe aware of.
Is that a higher proportion of the population than you'd find in other towns? Is Hull a particularly stressful city?
I don't know.
It's...
I don't have the
It seems
figures
a
to
lot.
compare it to other cities, but within this article, within the Hull Daily Mail, the classes run by the City Healthcare Partnership, they're running these sessions where people come along, friendly, informal, and to try and battle that.
Sort it out. Erica, thank you very much for coming along. Time now for the sport.
The Iron will be looking to return to winning ways when they travel to Bury on Tuesday night. Playoff chasing Bradford beat United 2-0 on Saturday with a goal in either half, compounding a disappointing afternoon for the Iron. Meanwhile, Bury head into Tuesday's clash on the back of an impressive 1-0 win over fellow playoff rivals at Burton Albion. And it's set to be an exciting game at the Eon Visual Media Stadium for North Ferriby United. Leaders Nuneaton Town will be looking to stay on top by avoiding a defeat against the second-placed Villagers. Ferriby go into the game with 4 straight wins behind them and have kept clean sheets in the last 3. With just a week to go until Hull City's Capital One Cup quarter-final with Manchester City, their 5,500 ticket allocation is selling fast, with a convoy of more than 30 Tiger travel coaches set to transport fans across the Pennines. To add to anticipation, the Capital One Cup trophy will be touring the city this Wednesday and will make a stop at the Tiger Leisure store in Prospect Shopping Centre. Supporters are invited to visit the store between 1 p.m. and 2 p.m. And they'll be able to take a selfie with the trophy along with Tigers legend Dean Windass. And Hull KR's head coach Chris Chester says he already has a plan of action in mind for how he will use his squad in the club's 2 pre-season friendlies, reducing them due to the length of the season. The Robins will face Super League rivals Huddersfield Giants on Sunday the 17th of January in Dave Hodgson's testimonial before defending the Clive Sullivan Trophy in the traditional pre-season clash. And that's the latest.
That's it for tonight. If you have a news story for us, or if you want to advertise on Estuary TV, then visit our Facebook or Twitter pages. Details on the screen. Email news@estuary.tv or phone Grimsby 0147231 55553. Until tomorrow, good evening.
Estuary TV weather, sponsored by Rix Petroleum, your local family-owned heating oil supplier this winter.
Hello and welcome to Estuary TV's weather. Wednesday starting dry with sunny spells, strong winds will ease slowly later on. From late afternoon, cloud will increase in the west, with patchy rain in the early evening and a maximum temperature of 8 degrees. Thursday, milder but with more cloud giving way to some rain in place.
Rix, servicing the region's oil boilers this winter from a name you can trust. Get in touch at rix.co.uk or call us on 01482 838383.